To reach for the stars, and when the time was right, Leviathan had revealed himself. He had offered to assist Major Declan Payne in his efforts to end the war with the Blaze Collective, a conflict that had been underway for decades with no end in sight. Until now. Leviathan had allowed a small human contingent on board, and although a pacifist, he'd helped them take the war to the enemy to cause so much consternation and confusion in their rear areas that a truce and eventually peace would become the best options. Team Payne was on the hook to provide a capability Leviathan couldn't execute for himself: tactical insertion and on-site intelligence gathering. With Lev's help, the team had boarded and destroyed one Blaze dreadnought, as well as conducted an in-person reconnaissance of Parallax, formerly the homeworld of those who would control the Blaze Collective. But they had departed, leaving 5 billion biomechanical life forms behind. Fleet Admiral Harry Wesson was on board Leviathan, and he had issued the orders, although the ship had the last word. Lev had vetoed a number of the Admiral's plans, but the fleet attack by the drone ships orbiting Parallax had convinced Lev to take a more proactive stance if he wanted to end the war. That meant taking the fight to the enemy, which meant finding the enemy. It had come as an unpleasant surprise when they'd learned the ones who'd established the Blaze Collective were no longer on Parallax. That meant Lev would have to go deep into enemy territory to find them and bring them down. They were on their way to the front lines, but Lev could fold space and travel that far in the blink of an eye. It cost Lev significantly in energy reserves, requiring about 3 days to become operational again, so travel was generally done in interstellar space, far away from everything, to avoid casual travelers running across the ship while he was minimally able to defend himself. But this time, they were traveling directly to where the fleet would be. They would protect Leviathan until he was able to protect himself. That was the plan. Hopefully there wouldn't be any of the drone dreadnoughts, or they'd all die. Team Payne was getting ready to deploy in case they needed a surgical strike by a well-trained and well-armed team. The sides of the ugly mobile popped open, and the team moved 3 pulse cannons inside. They carried the heavier rail guns and not the needle guns because they wanted the extra punch. They loaded the air launchers, rifle-like weapons that fired a super-accelerated blast of air that was effective against soft targets. They carried their standard-issue Space Ops Force stunners, too, in case they needed a non-lethal option. They had yet to be in a position to capture an enemy soldier, but there was a first time for everything. Once the insertion vehicle was loaded, they took their seats, with Dog on the starboard side on the forward end and Payne on the port side aft. The team sat in the dual row of seats down the middle of the ship, facing outboard for rapid egress. They could exit the ship in less than 2 seconds when it opened. The outer doors closed and the inner walls became screens for the team to watch. "Nobody puke," Payne quipped. "Aw, man, you're never going to let me forget that, are you?" Combat Specialist Alphonse Buzz Perique complained. "Probably not," Turbo replied. She faced the new lieutenant. "Don't puke, ma'am. We'll never let you forget it." "How does one puke inside the suit?" Dog asked. "Turn your head and shoot it toward your shoulder so it doesn't mess with your forward visibility. It'll drain down and the suit will clean it up, mostly." "Mostly," Heckler agreed. "Don't lie now. Who has puked in their suit?" Dog asked, stabbing her suited finger at the team. Everyone raised their hand, even Payne. "But we did it with style, unlike Buzz's attempt to drown himself." "Hey!" Buzz didn't have a better comeback than that. "We eat the minimum before an op, including crackers to keep our stomachs settled, beef jerky, and by all that's holy, no orange juice, as much as you'd like to think the vitamin C is healthy." The team groaned. "For the record, I'm the only one on the team who hasn't puked," Dog declared victoriously. Heckler angled his helmet to look at her. "You're also the only member of the team who's not fired a weapon at an enemy, who's made no combat insertions, who hasn't been off Earth before and has no scars. Shall I continue?" "I've been in space before, but..."